Hi, my name is Peter Neer, and I'm National Director of Technology for VMware Canada. Thank you very much for having me into your home today. I genuinely appreciate it. I know you spend a ton of time in your home office, so I thought for a change of pace, we come to the great outdoors today. It's fall in Canada, and that means gorgeous colors from coast to coast. I brought you out to the Niagara Escarpment just west of Toronto for today's discussion. If you have an opportunity to get out here safely with your families, it's an absolutely fantastic place to go on a fall hike and enjoy some of the fall colors. But let's dive right in. 2020 has been a unique year, to say the least, and it's brought a significant amount of change to Canadian organizations, regardless of public sector, private sector, small or large. Really, the theme has been adapt, adapt, adapt. And VMware has been privileged to be able to help so many Canadian organizations adapt to the change that 2020 has brought them. Healthcare, for example, has had significant demands placed on it to ramp up the capacity to deal with additional cases across the country and to help doctors do their jobs from anywhere. And VMware has been privileged to be part of some of that growth and meeting the demands of Canadian healthcare. In the private sector, industries including retail and financial services have seen their businesses shift from ones where people came to you for face to face discussions, interactions, to buy things, to work on services, to ones that need to be 100% digital now. And so those organizations have seen a huge increase in their digital needs, and VMware is proud to have been part of the growth of digital and helping organizations grow their capabilities as digital businesses today. And whether you are a private sector or a public sector organization, you've seen a significant shift in how your people get their jobs done. You used to come to the office every single day. You used to interact with your colleagues face to face, and now you're doing all of that from home. And VMware is proud to have been a contributor to helping organizations moving from office based to work from home and work from anywhere based. It's really been a huge shift for all of our customers, all of our partners, and we're proud to have helped. So let's talk a little bit about the things that VMware does. May have been a while since you've had a conversation with us, and really there are 5 things that VMware does and has been delivering solutions across Canada. Number 1, application modernization. Number 2 is digital workspace. Number 3 is virtual cloud network. Number 4 is multi-cloud. And number 5 is intrinsic security. I'm going to walk you through each one of those areas today, tell you a little bit about what that actually means, and tell you about some Canadian organizations that are leveraging some of those capabilities today. Let's dive right in. I'm going to start with application modernization. And when you think of application modernization, I really want you to think about Kubernetes. When I went across the country and talked to IT executives, I asked every single one of them, is Kubernetes something that is important to the growth of your business and the growth of your IT organization? And they all said yes. Kubernetes is the tool set that has won the war on application modernization. And VMware has very much dived right into Kubernetes. And it started a couple years ago with the acquisition of a company called Heptio, which is basically the 2 founders of Kubernetes, who said, Kubernetes is fantastic, but we want to make it accessible to the enterprise. So that formed the basis of VMware's approach to Kubernetes. Take something that is amazing, take something that has great developer adoption, and make it work within the enterprise. Since that acquisition, we've acquired several additional capabilities, including Pivotal, which has a large presence in Canada and has been working with Canadian organizations to modernize their applications for many years as well. We've brought that together into something we call VMware Tanzu, and that is the brand for application modernization that is anchored around Kubernetes. To give you an example of some of the customers that are using it in Canada today, a large retailer took a look at where their primary revenue streams were coming from and said, you know, this one web application drives the majority of revenue for us, and it needs to be the best. We need to delight our customers. We need to make sure that when they are coming to our application, they say, this is amazing, and we need to be able to stay one step ahead of our competition. And so they came to us and we worked with them, number one, to help their teams understand what does making a modern application really mean? How do we need to change the way we think and operate? And then secondly, we help them with the VMware Tanzu platform to build this application on a platform that lets them very quickly make changes, push them out to any cloud that they're working with, and have that as the cornerstone of their business going forward. So that's application modernization. Second point is around digital workspace. When you think of digital workspace, really it's work from anywhere. This concept that now everyone in 2020 is familiar with. From a technology perspective, it means I want to have all of the applications that I need to do my job with me anywhere. I don't necessarily want to worry about the application that running on my work laptop, on my personal phone, on my iPad. I just need it to work. And that is really what work from anywhere is all about. And that started for us with an acquisition about 5 years ago of a company called AirWatch. AirWatch was the leader in mobile device management. And since then, we have really innovated on top of that platform, added in additional capabilities, integrated it with all the virtualization things that VMware is known for. And we have realized that vision that you as an employee can take any device you want, you go into your application, you press it, and the application just works. There's a lot of complexity that goes on behind that, complexity around security, networking, authentication, application types, all those sorts of things. The magic of digital workspace is that it just hides it. So we call that Workspace ONE. And to give you an example of a Canadian organization that's using that today, I want to share with you an organization that I've been volunteering my time with as part of the VMware Foundation. This is a large not-for-profit organization in the Toronto area that supports people in the community with intellectual disabilities. When the pandemic started, they had to fundamentally change the way that they work and how they support the tens of thousands of people that they support living in their homes throughout the city of Toronto. They've been working with us to take everything that they do and put it into this model of Workspace ONE so that they can quickly get devices out to people with the applications that they need on them to get their jobs done. And they're even using some of these capabilities to connect people in the community with some of their loved ones who maybe they're cut off from right now. That is a small example of what we're doing with Workspace ONE. That, of course, scales to many larger organizations, including banks and healthcare organizations who are using Workspace ONE to work from anywhere. Third point I wanted to talk to you about is virtual cloud network. Think about a network that no longer really exists in a building, right? We talked about people working from home. We talked about applications living in the cloud. If you've got applications in the cloud, people working from home, the idea that your network is a thing in a building or a thing in a data center just isn't true anymore. The network exists everywhere. And VMware recognizes that in applying network concepts and capabilities across the cloud, every one of those points between the end user application and where it might live in the cloud. We call that virtual cloud network. It was started from the mesh behind the network, which is NSX, acquired from a company called Nicira. That was probably 6, maybe 7 years ago. We acquired Nicira, and we've just been innovating on top of that and building in additional capabilities so that really now it is a true cloud network that connects everything and plugs in capabilities like security and web firewalling and load balancing and all those things that you need from a network without having to think about it as a physical thing or in a physical building. That really is what virtual cloud networking is about. To give you an example of how that's being used in Canada today, a large national restaurant chain is now using the virtual cloud network to connect all of their different restaurant locations to drive things like their point of sale systems, the virtual menu boards that you see in behind the person who's serving you, as well as drive new interactions with people who are walking into their restaurants with these devices and how they interact with the restaurant itself. And that's something that's being driven across Canada with virtual cloud network. That's one of many examples of how a virtual cloud network can be leveraged in what we're doing in Canada. Fourth point is multi-cloud. And this is an area that you probably recognize as being connected to vSphere, our kind of most famous product, the one that got us onto the map many, many years ago. The concept there was that you take what was a piece of hardware you had to hardwire to, and I'm just going to virtualize it. I'm going to make it ones and zeros. We've taken that concept and really expanded it out to be virtualization of anything. So whether it's storage or networking or the servers that are in there, all of the automation that goes around it, that just exists virtually now. And it doesn't matter where it exists. So you can have that in your data center on premise, or more and more Canadian organizations are seeing that in the cloud. So you can take those applications that are running in a data center today, and without doing all the rewriting on them, move them to the cloud using this virtual capability. In multi-cloud, we call that Cloud Foundation. And Cloud Foundation, like I said, works in your data center, or it works in the cloud. We have partnerships with Amazon, with Microsoft, with Google, and several other Canadian-only providers to really help you get into that multi-cloud world and move things back and forth and leverage the cloud that makes the most sense for you. A couple of examples of Canadian organizations who are using multi-cloud. Number one is a large bank who saw this explosion of growth in their digital world and said, we need to expand our capabilities in digital, and we're going to take our data center and we're going to move it to a more modern cloud. And everything in that cloud is going to be ones and zeros. Everything is going to be automated so that we can quickly ramp up services to our customers as we need to. A second example is a payroll provider here in Canada. They were looking to take what they were doing and convert that into a SaaS approach so that they could then sell a SaaS service to some of their customers as well. They've taken that application, moved it into the cloud using Cloud Foundation and AWS, which is a really great benefit for them because now they can take that SaaS application and bring it to any geography in the world using that AWS network. So that is the multi-cloud solution that VMware brings. Fifth and final one is Intrinsic Security. And I left that to last intentionally because Intrinsic Security isn't necessarily a thing. It's how do we connect all these things? And how do you make the security just part of everything that we do? So this is really anchored by an acquisition we did about a year ago, a company called Carbon Black. And Carbon Black has a huge Canadian presence, a ton of trust in the Canadian marketplace as well as a security player. And we have plumbed that Carbon Black security capability into everything we do. Just some examples. So we now plug in to the workloads that are running in your data center or in the cloud to understand if anything bad is happening there. We plug into your laptop that maybe is running in someone's home office and understand if anything is bad going on there. We plug into a Kubernetes cluster to understand what's going on and recognize anything that might not be doing well there. And we plug into the network as well. We have these sensors that are connected into every point that might have a vulnerability. And those sensors can give you then one picture of what's going on in your organization from a security posture. So you have one dashboard that says, here are all the things that are going on in your organization. We can plug in some of the other capabilities that you maybe already have as well, and then make decisions. Those can be human decisions. Those can also be automated decisions that say, hey, if something's going on at this laptop over here, I want to take an action in my network that prevents that from causing any damage somewhere else. That's really the idea behind Intrinsic Security, and I'm really excited about some of the things we've just announced recently that bring that vision to reality. So there you have it. Those are the 5 key areas of VMware. Sorry, 5 fingers, not 10 fingers. 5 key areas that VMware is focusing on in Canada: application modernization, digital workspace, virtual cloud network, multi-cloud, and intrinsic security. We look forward to helping you work with your customers to solve some of the challenges that they have, whether they be challenges of their long-term plan or challenges they're focusing right now due to the change that has been forced upon all of us in 2020. If any of these areas are of interest to you or your customers, please give us a call. We'd be happy to dig deeper. With that, I wish you a safe finish to 2020 and a fantastic start to the next new year. Thanks, everyone.